Greetings, all. I had some notes that I had written because I wanted to make sure I kind of recovered everything that I wanted to talk about today. Thanks for being here. Um, but you know what? I think it's more important that I just speak to you from the heart, and then I will from there kind of peek at my notes and make sure that I covered everything that I was hoping to share with you today. So let's start with the history. Okay, so some of you, but not all of you, know that I was on the Princess Cruise that started in San Francisco and then went down the coast of Mexico and then came back to San Francisco. And it wasn't known until many days later that people on that cruise actually contracted the coronavirus. So I'm not exactly sure how many days it was. I just know that 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 ship that had the virus on it, obviously, if people contracted it, retained 68 folks and then got on thousands of other folks in San Francisco and headed to Hawaii, right? My home. I wasn't on that anymore. I had gotten off and had things to do in California before I headed home. Anyhow, so it cruised across the ocean, came to Hawaii, went around to all the ports that that cruise line went to, and was actually headed back before they found out that there were cases. And so that's when I guess the governor decided that no one could get off that ship until they were tested. Right, so needing several thousand kits to be tested. So those people were quarantined. In the meantime, more than 14 days had gone by. I had, of course, zero symptoms. And, but, it did get me thinking about all the places that I had been and the things that I had done before it was even known that this was an issue. And so anyhow, from there, it's all blown up and you understand it's just been in the news nonstop. And they're constantly talking about the next infected city. And it's almost like every city is just waiting to be the next city. And that's why things are getting canceled. I was actually on a trip. I was supposed to be visiting Nashville and Sedona and Las Vegas. And that 10-day trip turned into a 3-day trip because everything started getting shut down, which was very upsetting to me. Not because it had to do with me, but because of the fear. And that's really what I wanted to talk about. So the first thing about this whole thing is the fear. If you understand that disease loves fear, it's looking for the fearful heart and the fearful mind to settle in, because when people are happy and healthy, a little more positive in general, I mean, we all have crap that happens to us, but we bounce back. That's the places where diseases travel rampantly and easily. And so the media is making us so fearful, and it's forcing us to go inside and not be around other people and just be afraid that any person you see could be a carrier and could be the one that could give you the disease. And that mindset is just a horrible way to live. When people stay inside and are isolated, they get depressed, they drink more, they watch more TV, they make more bad food choices. Lots of really bad things happen from being isolated. I'm not discounting this as being a pandemic. Obviously it is, but what I'm hoping you'll understand is that the fear of contracting the virus is opening the door and inviting it in. Some of you may be familiar with The Secret, and so you kind of have an idea of that and mindset, and what you open your mind to allows things in. So when people are just imagining that they could be next, they are increasing the chances that they'll be next. And that just hurts my heart that people would have to live in fear and be afraid to go out and socialize. I'm sorry, it really upsets me. Anyhow, back to the point. So I did the cruise, nothing upon it. It got really bad after I had departed, and it was my first cruise. But what's interesting is, so between the cruise that I was on between crew and people was probably over 4,000. And then a few more thousand got on after we all got off. So in general, that cruise ship had over 6,000 people between travelers and crew. And 11 people tested positive. Now remember, there's a difference between being tested positive and dying. Just because you contract the virus, it does not mean you're going to die, right? The mortality rate, is it's not guaranteed that that's going to happen. If you have other reasons why the virus likes home, right? So like already you have lung issues or bronchial issues because that's where it attacks, you're more likely, right? But I've had pneumonia 3 times in my life. I've been hospitalized once. So you would think, okay, maybe I should be worried. Now that was a long time ago. So I'm not going to allow worry for something that happened over 2, 3, 4 decades ago to keep me from going outside and living my life. And I don't think that's irresponsible. I'm not allowing fear of something that had so many decades ago to be a part of my life. The second thing is I was on a cruise ship where we were all confined. It was my first cruise ship, but if you've ever been on a cruise before, you know that thousands of people touch the same stuff. There's only so many elevators, there's only so many chairs, there's only so many places to go to the events, and we all sit and touch and do the same things, thousands of us, for days after days after days in a very enclosed environment. So if this disease is highly contagious, and they're saying highly contagious, then how is it that over 6,000 people, less than, and I actually want to look at my notes here. So the two cruises, right? And they finally were able to do all the testing on everybody. So 11 people tested positive. So yes, I know people have passed away, and I know that it is a serious thing. I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is the amount of fear that they're putting into our lives is increasing the opportunity for this virus to gain momentum and have more power over us. It does not have to. We should be getting outside. You know, this virus hates sun. The media doesn't talk about that. The virus hates warm. The media doesn't talk too much about that. There's lots of things the virus doesn't like. And so if you can get outside in the sun more, if you're worried about people, then just keep that 3 to 6 foot distance from people. And just stop being so damn fearful. That's what's upsetting to me, is the way that they're shutting things down. So I wasn't able to go to Sedona. I wasn't able to go to Vegas. And it's really not necessary. And I know some of you aren't going to agree with me on this, and that's okay. Because why you're here and why I asked you to be here is because this is how the virus can be contained. And it's not by hand sanitizing. I want you to understand there's a huge difference between bacterial and virus, right? So bacteria is what hand sanitizing is for, killing bacteria. And they brag, we kill 99% of all bacteria. Fabulous. But this is a virus. It's not bacterial. So you can hand sanitize all you want, drying out your hands, killing your own body's ability to fight off small doses of bacteria, and it's not going to make any difference. This thing is a virus. So what that means is hand washing with good old soap and hot water, or as hot as you can handle it, is what's going to make a difference. Why? Because it's going to get the virus right off your hands. So the more often you wash your hands, the better in this state, but really basically with soap, hi Vivian, soap, and hot water, because remember, it doesn't like hot. So as hot as you can stand it is good. And then just dry it up really well, right? So that's one thing that the news isn't talking about. So the run on Purell and alcohol is not helping a virus. Those things are great for bacteria. Bacteria also likes warm and it likes wet. This is not bacterial. This is a virus. That's why it likes cold and it likes dry. So if you're flying, you should be keeping your nose moisturized. I have a doTERRA breathe stick that I use, but you could just use Vicks Vapor Rub would work fine with a little Q-tip. To be sipping water, uh, often, and avoid the dryness, right? So that's a simple thing they're not really talking about as much either. Why? Because I guess because that's boring. I don't know. So anyhow, moving forward, the other thing that's just super important is having a positive attitude, and being happy goes a long way towards being healthy. I'm living proof of that. I haven't had a fever or virus, anything related to that in over 6 years. And that's because I live my life smart, not scared. I don't live scared because scared invites disease, right? So there's things that I do when I travel, because I travel a lot now for my book, and I've always done these things, but I'm more aware now. And the awareness comes from washing your hands, washing them with soap and water as hot as you can handle, making sure you get them nice and dry, keeping heated. And I always travel with my doTERRA On Guard, have been for decades. And it comes in lots of different sizes. It's from doTERRA, so you can find a rep in your area, and it's affordable. Oh, the sun's coming around. Let me shift a little bit. So anyhow, this stuff is a lifesaver. If it was good enough for the Black Plague, it can be good enough for anything else that's being thrown out. Um, so every day when I get home from work, and I work downtown, and I work in an office, where I have an office in a downtown building, I go straight to, so I kick off my shoes, I go straight to the sink, and I have this On Guard hand wash, and I wash my hands up, and it just feels good. It smells good. And I just feel like anything I may have brought home with me is now annihilated. And then when I travel, I know people say this stuff doesn't work, but what I found is what you believe works, works. If you don't believe it's not going to work, then it's not going to work. The reason why I use this a couple days before I start flying, it has a ton of vitamin C in it. So I'm just kind of upping my immune system. And more importantly, it has zinc. And there's something about zinc when you travel. So if you have a couple of these while you're flying every few hours or so, zinc does something in the little hairs in your throat. It kind of coats them, which makes it difficult for the virus to attach to that. So it can't attach and then start to grow and then travel down. So airborne is just so simple. And now they make them chewable. It used to be nasty when you had to drink it. So I before I travel, I prepare and I think about what I'm doing. I get excited about it. I get happy. I make sure I'm sleeping well, that I'm upping my vitamin C, that I'm really feeling energetic about where I'm headed and what I'm doing, not stressful or fearful, because that again invites disease. And I know that's why, since I started this regimen many, many, many years ago of happy means healthy, and doing things that make common sense, right? So, say for example, if you, before you cross the street or pull out into traffic in your car, I would hope that you look both ways a couple of times, right? Why do you do that? You do it because it makes sense. Not only does it make sense, you know it works. You know it helps keep you safe. It's the person who steps blindly out into traffic looking at their stupid phone or whatever is where the problems are. You're not aware, right? So be aware, be smart, use your awareness in all the things that you do. Don't just know it, but use it. So when I travel, I'm aware of these things. It's like I look multiple ways before I cross the street. It makes sense. So I like to travel and do, most everything I do in life with a sense of awareness, not scarcity, right? I prefer to be smart, not scared. And you can do the same thing. And it starts by kicking this fear to the curb and start just taking personal responsibility for how can I keep myself healthy, because disease doesn't like healthy. It's looking for that place of fear or mistrust or doubt or worry to settle in. And yes, we all have bad moments in time, but we learn to snap back, and the sooner you snap back, the better. I think the other thing that you really need to understand is that basically the media is forcing us to martial law ourselves, right? This way the military doesn't have to come in and parole the streets and keep everybody home so that they're safe. They are scaring us so bad with these statistics and not reporting things like Mexico only has 6 cases and they're still doing events and they're not out of toilet paper. Why is that? Because they're not running the same fear tactics as much as we are here. Well, and there's other reasons too, right? Basically, they're happier and healthier by nature, right? More people oriented and family oriented and social. They're not so concerned about me. And that's just my opinion and my experience. So moving forward with that, why are they scaring us so much? I don't know. Maybe they're finding out how easy it'll be to keep us home, how easy it'll be to keep us fearful of our neighbors, how easy it'll be to make us misrepresent our true feelings, right? So get out and start doing things that make you happy. Go get your nails done, go get a facial, get a massage. What are the things that light you up? Because when you're lit up, viruses don't like the light. And when you stay lit up, nobody can take that from you. Nobody can take your light. No virus can make you shine less as long as you're shining to begin with, as long as you are lit up. I think that's my biggest message that I wanted to share with you. So let me just look at my notes real quick. I know that it's sad the way our government is treating this thing. South Korea, for example, does roughly 10,000 kits a day go out because they see it as a national health issue, and you don't have to pay for it because it's keeping the country, the nation safe. And they know that it's an investment in the country. Whereas in the United States, we've done less than 6,000, not a day, to date, less than 6,000 because nobody wanted to pay for it. And I know you're like, oh, somebody's got to pay for it. Yes, they do, but the companies shouldn't be allowed to raise the prices of things during a time of crisis. People were afraid to get the kits from China, and where South Korea was not. And that's part of the reason why we don't have as many kits. And the ones that we did have weren't completely viable. They gave poor results in some cases. Oh, so again, there's that fear jacking everything up. What other statistics did I want to share with you? So while I was traveling, so I went to 7 airports in just the 5 days because I had to get home early, which was horrible. I counted before I left because I was curious, because people said, you shouldn't be traveling. I'm like, man, I got to go to Nashville because there's some important stuff going down there that's waiting for me. And so between the 7 airports that I visited in my travels, I counted 14 masks. Mm-hmm. And on the airlines, 1 employee out of all the support staff that were there. A lot of people were wearing gloves that work around people, but they weren't wearing masks. And so that can tell you something right there. So when the news is showing you like a cluster of people at the airport wearing masks, they're finding a cluster of people wearing masks, and then they're cutting that really tight so that you can't see that nobody else is wearing masks in the airport. Those people know that they need to get where they need to get, and nothing's going to stop them. Their faith is keeping them safe. And the other thing too is when you're looking at where was I? Shoot, I think it was Denver. So one of the trams was broken, so it was taking 15 to 20 minutes to just get a tram out or tram in at the airport. So people were crowding on this tram, right, like they do in other countries, but not in the United States. We all need our space. People were cramming on because it was so crowded, and they were hanging on to metal bars and things and straps and other people. And no one was standing there like, don't touch me, you're too close, because they all needed to be somewhere, and they all knew that was the way to get there, and they all knew that they were going to be okay. Their belief is what kept and keeps them healthy, and it can work the same for you as well. And then I guess I just do a quick summary, but what I hope this is what I hope going forward. I made a few lists. So there's some good stuff when things like this happen. So number one, I hope that people continue to use good hygiene. Some people who never used to do this, hopefully will always do it, because you never know where viruses and bacteria will be. Always be smart, right? Not scared. And that we begin to fever test at airports and schools and large events, as well as in the workplace. It's super easy to do on the forehead, and it only takes a second, because people have selfishly, with fevers, knowing they're contagious, go to school or send their kids to school or go to work, and they don't care. They're saying, I have to. So what they're saying is, my need to get this done is more important than tons of other people. So hopefully that will be kind of a new thing that we'll all be seeing, and then eventually it'll be commonplace. That will be fever testing. And then high traffic locations like subways and buses and even the workplaces, airplanes, airports continue to do this great sanitation process that should have been done all along. Keep continuing to hose the things down and to wipe things down and to keep them as safe as possible. Hopefully that will continue as well. And that in the future, testing and cures for things like pandemics become available to everybody, not just to the people who can afford it. That we can nip this in the bud sooner when everybody's addressed equally as a human. And then, I guess since laughter is after love is the best medicine, I just wanted to share with you, when I was kind of looking at all the diseases we've survived and everything, that I think it was on the CDC page. That's something that didn't make the news, is that there's an issue right now with puppies in pup stores, puppies in pet stores carrying disease. Yeah, and then you take them home and your family gets sick, and that didn't make it on the news. And so the reason why I think that's funny is because even puppies aren't safe, right? Puppies aren't safe. Spinach isn't safe. Lettuce isn't safe. Just so many things aren't safe, because we live in a world that is so vast with so much opportunity. And that when we choose to stay happy and healthy and healthier, then things, they just get easier. Stop worrying and start being proactive about your personal health. With that, I say aloha. I wish for you all to stay happy and healthy. And so for the next 2 weeks, and I'll put it up when I'm done here, for the next 2 weeks, I'm going to have my book, Get Happier and Healthier Now, available to you for free on a download. So right now it's available on Kindle for 99 cents. Don't pre-order it yet, but the Kindle is available now for 99 cents or for free at lgrinnell.com. It is not about this virus. It is about this virus and every virus going forward, as well as your overall health and happiness in all aspects of your life. Because being healthy is a mindset, and it starts with you choosing to do a lot of things better than you're choosing to do them now, because you know you can and you know they're right. So let's step into the light. Let's find the things that make us happy, which will make us healthy, and together the world can be a better place, and definitely a healthier place. So like I said, I'll put up lgrinnell.com here in a moment. As I sign off, it'll be in the comments. And if you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, I'll put up my chat as well. And if you have something personal you'd like to talk about, then you can reach out to me for a chat. I'd love to chat with you. Okay, so I hope you learned something that you didn't know before. Start caring about yourself before you travel, or use the things that make you happy. Stand in your light and know that you are always protected when you bring your best self out everywhere that you go. Alrighty. Again, I gotta say aloha. You're all the best. Bye.